And we got the concert tonight here, I should tell the people, from the New Theatre, Oxford, at which there was an incredibly rousing ending, and you got everybody on their feet. Well, I've always thought that apart from the melodic sense and the rhythmic sense of what you're doing, and the two, of course, are integrated, that you've always relied heavily on good, tight backing harmonies, which seem to me to be mostly in the first half of the set.
Oh, I see, yeah. Well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, we just played what we played, you know, and I don't go into it too deeply, you know. If you like it, you like it, you know. We just get on there. And for us, you know, like, we just go, and we know people that come there for an evening out, right? They've all left their little homes,
Yeah.
They come to the theatre, and they come for an evening out, you know. So we play for them. It's really all it's down to.
Because you want to get out, you want to destroy this whole PR man's shenanigans.
Well, I mean, that was a fallacy right from the beginning. You know, I mean, I'm not a recluse, you know. But if I choose to kind of bum off to Scotland, well, shut up. I say, if I feel like bumming off to Scotland, you know, that's something I feel like doing, I'll do it, no matter what you say, you know. But strangely enough, kind of people thought, going to Scotland, gotta be a gyppo, gotta be a recluse, you know, gotta be some kind of hermit here. I say I like going up to Scotland, you know, I don't care what you call me, I'll still do it.
If I called you the kind of musical skits, which is that there are parts of your work taken from 20s, 30s, music hall, vaudeville, parts taken from straight 50s rock, parts of today, and nice sort of comely chat with the kids as well.
Yeah.
Where's your audience, Paul?
In the theatre, Dave.
But all these ingredients, I mean, you can't knock them down, and I'm not trying to be intellectual, but there are bits of your material which are almost down to a kind of Deborah Kerr sentimentality. There are bits of it which are, you know, fly me high. There are bits of it which are straight sort of Elvis rock.
Yeah. So what, I mean, you know, that's what I think, like, well, you know, if you got another band, maybe they'd come on like and play one kind of music all evening, and it'd be easier to kind of categorize them, you know. But as far as I'm concerned, we just happen to have got together a few numbers to play for the people. And that's really where it's at. It sounds very kind of coy, but that's where it's at, you know. So I don't personally bother to categorize it, because I know someone's bound to. Someone's bound to kind of think in the end, variety beat, you know, many types of numbers, they play this, they play that, you know. They say it doesn't get to me, you know, all that. If we played like straight R&B all evening, I'd be able to say to you, yeah, Dave, we're an R&B band.
Oh,
but,
sure.
We play like a bit of anything, you know. I've been influenced since the day I was born with music, you know. I was born in 1942, nice year. Very good year for babies. And, you know, I just figured that, like, I listened to the Billy Cotton Band show, and I dug it, you know. Nothing wrong with old Billy, as far as I was concerned, you know.
No.
And I listened to Paul Whiteman via my dad, you know. I listened to my dad. Used to play Chicago, Stairway to Paradise, you know. So I naturally have all those kind of influences, you know. So I personally, you know, I've never got round to kind of thinking, well, that was a dumb period, and now is a good period. You know, I like it all.
Well, it's a bad thing. I quite agree with you to try and break it down into different structures and different categories. I mean, either it's good and people dig it, or they don't. And if they don't dig it, well, commerciality as a sheer criterion means that it isn't good. If it doesn't sell, it can't be. And this is the way that, let's face it, the record industry works. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here courtesy of EMI, folks. Right?
Right, folks.
But what makes you sit down and write a piece of honky-tonk rock or a melodic ballad?
It's just whatever I feel like at that particular moment, you know. I can sit down and just have, I mean, this is the way songwriters do it, you know. No matter what anyone tells you, you sit down and you hit a chord, or you hit a sequence of chords. And if they happen to be if you happen to be hitting them slow and augmented type chords, you know, then you'll probably write a ballad. if you happen to sit down and plonk out a little kind of blues riff, then you'll write a blues thing, you know. And that's all I do, you know. I just sit down and whatever kind of thing comes out, and then I use it if I think it's good. So I mean, I can't really answer for the fact that it might be kind of influenced by 1940 or whatever, you know. I say, you know, I just kind of write it, and then if I like it, I think that's good enough. I mean, I wrote this Gotta Sing, Gotta Dance, which was on the telly show we did. Now that thing was actually written specifically for Twiggy, who was going to do a film called Gotta Sing, Gotta Dance. And it was written with her in mind, you know, big production number, and Twiggy swinging away with 60 white horses, you know, or nuns. And so I wrote that kind of number, you see. So I came to do it myself. It doesn't bother me like what kind of numbers, you know, I'm not kind of into that. This is what I do, you know, one specific kind of thing. I mean, I'm aware that sometimes I sort of think, well, maybe I should kind of just get it all together into one kind of music form, so we come on and play all one kind of thing. But I'm not like that. That's not me, you know. It never ends up like that with me. Always ends up a touch of this, touch of that, touch of that. Come on, let's have a laugh. Get your hands together, and we'll have a touch of that. Music doesn't persecute me or percussion me.
It percussions you?
It doesn't percussion me.
I haven't seen bass guitars play like that for a long while.
Really? Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't look at music like that. You know, music's just kind of something. You sit down at an instrument, and you plonk away, and whatever happens to come out is what comes out, you know. Sometimes my love will come out, and people will think, that's a nice example of his songwriting or whatever, you know. Sometimes Smile Away will come out. Now, Smile Away is just a whole other kind of thing. It's not anything like what I do. Or I'll pick up a newspaper and I'll notice that the British parachuters are like shooting a few Irish friends of mine, and I'll think, hey man, it's time for an Irish song, you know, like just to say that, dear Mr. Heath, I don't dig what you're doing, please cool it out, give it back to them, and do something with like the Protestants in the North, who I also dig, but kind of cool them out. But you know, I mean, that's my opinion of it, kind of thing. So a song comes out like that, you know. I don't have to have any particular background in it. It's just what I feel at the time, you know. And I don't mind if people say, oh, well, you don't know anything about Ireland, you know. I know that my country's virtually at war with them over the Northern Ireland scene, and has been for like 800 years.
Maybe we could use that actually as an example of one of my favourite numbers in tonight's set, which was your performance of Wildlife. Now, there are some things which you do on your own admission, and you don't try and rationalise, I'm delighted to say.
Yeah.
You do something which is just reggae, boom, 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 put your hands together and have a good time.
Yeah.
And you will go into a song like Wildlife, and the intelligibility of a theatre PA isn't nearly as good as that of a record, and you know, as you're well aware. What is the governing factor between light, if you're a painter, between light and shade, shade and light?
See, I mean, I can't answer for any other I can't answer for like any other painters, any other writers, anything, you know. As I say, as far as I know, I really know nothing about it. Like anyone who writes a song, you don't really know much about it. Tell you a little story, Dave. I was in Jamaica recently, filming there was Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman, filming a film called Papillon, you know, soon to be released.
Incredible.
It should be good. And we went round to Dustin Hoffman's one evening, you know, he invited us round. Went around there, and we got to know him a little bit, and we were sitting around a few days later with him, and he was saying, talking about songs, you know, talking about just this kind of thing. Where do you get them from? You know, I was saying, well, you really kind of pull them out of the air, pretty much. You know, they just kind of come to you and stuff. You don't think too much about it. If they come great, they come great. If they come lousy, they come lousy. You know. And he was saying, well, it'd be interesting. He was saying, you know, so you could virtually pull it out about anything kind of. So he pulled out a copy of something like Newsweek or Time, you know, one of these kind of papers. And he said, this is something turned me on, you know, which is kind of the last words Picasso said. And he read them out to me, and we've got a little tape of this at home, you know, he had a little tape running as we were doing it. I had my guitar there, I was strumming away. And he said, this is what he said. He said, drink to me, drink to my health. You know I can't drink anymore. It turns out he couldn't drink. He's an old bloke, you know. The doctor advised him not to drink. So I got these words together and I said, drink to me, drink to my health. You know I can't drink anymore. Dun, dun, drink to me. And Dustin's flipping his nut, you know. He's going, yeah, man, yeah, baby, this is a soul number. Yeah, all right, you know. And he's rocking away. So, I mean, there's an example of kind of how it happens, you know. He just comes out there, you know, you just kind of do it with the people you're with, and it just comes. Then you lay it down, and if people like it, they like it, you know. As far as I'm concerned, it's just an echo of what happened at that particular day, you know.
But doing it with the people that you were with was, let's face it, Paula, a unique set of people.
Beatles.
Yes.
Beatles, yeah. No, I can agree with you there, Dave. I mean, you see, as far as I'm concerned, the first kind of phase of my musical thing was concerned with coming down from Liverpool with four lads who'd never kind of even had their photo taken, you know?
Yeah, and I wish I knew too.
And so that is a whole other phase, you know. I think we came down from Liverpool, we did it just like Sweet, Dave Bowie, Roxy, Slade are doing it now, you know. We came down, we did that kind of thing for the first time ever kind of thing. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care what you say, like, you know, I think we did a great, beautiful, huge circle with the Beatles thing, you know. And then I think it was time then to do something else. It's like, you know, you're age 12, then you become 15, then you become 18, then you become 22, and then maybe you get married. Now you then look back on you kind of when you were 12 to 22, and you think, oh, that was a whole other phase, you know. And if you're uncool, you think, oh, blimey, you know, I was great then, and it's horrible now. But if you're cool, you think, it was fantastic then, and it's fantastic now, but it's a different thing.
Well, you have an amazing elephant's memory. For example, you know, just right a few minutes ago, when I came up, the first thing you said was, how's Malcolm, right?
Well, I know. I mean, we're talking about Malcolm Brown, who was an actual old schoolmate of mine.
Right.
Who used to try and play trumpet, and he was terrible. Terrible, Malcolm, if you're listening. Absolutely. And he's just an old mate of mine, you know, I still remember him, of course.
But we'll just rap for the sake of...
Rapping.
Rapping.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So therefore, how do you feel when you've done so much work, both on stage and in the studio, and your stage memories go back maybe, you know, 10, 12, 15
Don't
years?
go back as far as Morecambe and Wise, though, do they?
Not quite that far, but they're still good.
Right.
Right?
Right on.
How do you feel when you're giving, say, Denny a feed on Maybe I'm Amazed that you played with George some while back?
Well, you've actually picked a number which George didn't play on. Maybe I'm Amazed I played all the instruments on that one, yeah. I mean, Long Tall Sally's the only one you could actually use that analogy with, because I did play that with George. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, I mean, I've got a choice. I can either sit around now and think, oh yeah, man, you know, I mean, we should have George playing it now, it'd be so much better. Or I can think, well, I dig the way we're playing it now, you know, I like what's happening now, I like the fact that it is now, it's not bothering about the past, it's not worrying about the future, it's not any of that. It's just what people are about, which is getting on with now, you know. That's all I feel, you know.
Have you seen the other boys recently?
No, I haven't, no.
When was the last time?
I mean, I suppose you're talking about the Beatles.
Yeah, but I mean, as friends, you can have professional differences, which are absolutely vital, because unless people differ professionally, standards can never be raised. So I'm not introducing this as a needle element. I'm just wondering, you know, whether or not you still get, you know, seeing them and getting good buzzes off them.
Yeah, you're wondering that, are you? Well, what shall I say, David? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, the main thing I'm like interested in is, you know, I'm working with a band at this moment, and for instance, like a lot of people I know aren't really involved with the Beatles. I mean, a lot of people, younger people I know, you know, like think, oh well, you know, the Beatles was a great thing, kind of thing, but there's no kind of reason to kind of go potty about it all. You know, it was great, it was good, and it was very good, but let's get on with what's kind of going on, you know. And that's really where I'm at, you know. I just think that what we're doing now is as good as anything I've ever done. You know, I mean, I'm still singing Long Tall Sally like I sang it, for instance. In fact, I think I'm singing it better, to tell you the truth.
Right. Yeah, I do.
You know, so I mean, that's as far as I get into it, you know. As long as this evening happened, that's it for me, you know. And I think like, you find like kids up and down the country will think, you know, well, that's true, you know. Isn't that so, kids? People listening now on the little trannies, I mean, you know, they're going, yeah, that's right.
Would you do me a couple of favours, Paul? I know you're desperate to get to bed, which is quite reasonable considering the pressure of the tour.
Yeah.
Hey, after this set of live gigs, what are you going to do then?
We haven't got any kind of future plans. We have planned just the British tour. We just kind of leave it to that, you know. That's got kind of almost 2 weeks to run.
Right.
So,
and the other thing is
that's all we're going to do for the time being, you know. And then we'll just get on with whatever we do after that.
Well,
you know?
you never introduced me to your wife, anyway. We never had the pleasure of meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you now Linda McCartney. Yes.
Speaking here.
This is Dave Simons, by the way, darling.
Hello, Linda. Who are you
who's
from?
a noted DJ from Radio Luxembourg.
Oh, Luxembourg.
Yes.
Luxembourg.
The Grand Duchy.
I presume that you had to do a fair amount of practice on keyboard in order to get up with the lads.
Right. A lot of pushing. I had to get to a standard very quickly where I wasn't holding it back.
Yeah.
And I think I've finally gotten there because I've just got like Moog and Mellotron, a lot of instruments that I dig. So I'll turn my lads on with them.
All right. The kids have to get value, right? Because that's what it's all
Our
about.
kids are the kids.
Your kids are everybody's kids.
Yeah, right, I agree.
I've got an 8.5-year-old daughter
Well,
too.
we've got 3 of them.
I was going to bring her here tonight.
Yeah, she
Really?
would have dug it too.
I'm
Actually, our
I was so
10-year-old
pissed off.
wanted to come. She'll get to come tomorrow night, but she had to
Yeah.
look after the kids. I mean, that's it, you know. You get these kind of 10-year-olds and 8-year-olds.
They haven't come yet.
That's it, you know. If they come and enjoy it, well, that's a whole other thing, you know.
I shouldn't be subjective about this, but the one thing that I dig in on Nicola is that she's now, as I say, coming on 9.
That's your kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she doesn't want to know about little Jimmy Osmond, David Cassidy, Michael Jackson. You know who she likes?
Who's that?
Cliff Richard.
Yeah. That's it, you know. But our kids, you know.
We signed these two.
I mean, we've got a 10-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old.
Yeah.
Now, the 1.5-year-old and the 3-year-old really want to know about Jimmy Osmond. They love him because they can sing Long-Haired Lover from Liverpool. Even the 1.5-year-old goes, "But it never found it up." And she
that
gets-
again.
I can't. No, she got right with that, you know. And she loves that one. And our 3-year-old goes potty every time it comes on, you know, sings along. And that's all it is, you know. They know that song. They can understand what Jimmy's doing. You know, I can too, through their eyes, you know. It's great. Our 10-year-old prefers Dave Cassidy and Donny.
Yeah.
Actually, our 3-year-old's favourite is Donny.
Really?
Oh, she calls Dommy. Dommy Osmond. And she loves Dommy. And she'd love to meet Dommy. And if you can fix it up, she'd love it.
When Nicola was a bit younger, she used to crawl under the table with a red face. And I'd say, "Who's that, Nicola?" And she'd say, "Daddy, that's Paul McCartney." Really?
That's right. Our
Okay,
Mary
Nicola.
used to call herself Mary Banana until lately. Now she's Mary McCartney.
Yeah. So anyway, hello Nicola, this is Paul McCartney speaking. In person, actually speaking, the McCartney himself.
Sleeping.
And I'd like to say to you, good night Nicola, get to bed, you're up too late.
We'll get right away from it now, Paul, and let you get your rest, and Linda too. Would you just briefly sign off by wishing all our friends on 208 whatever you wish yourself?
Yeah, I'd like to say to all the people on Luxie 208, steaming across the British Channel, lots of luck to all of you. Have a nice evening this evening, and keep trucking.